use, like other sportmen use, and he have a very delicate gray hair close to his shoulders, somehow prominent cheeks, a little bit, as you said, Ramon, the eyes were kind of almond shaped, kind of Asian, strong chin, and tall, healthy, I would say late 30s, early 40s. And when everything vanished, I would say everything vanished, the sensation to be in an artificial place, to be in a sort of bubble, the wind started to blow, the birds chirping, the water, everything. And I saw behind the mountains a disc, just hovering above the mountain in complete silence, and then it just moved away. So I don't know how long lasted that experience, perhaps 5, 7, 8 minutes, but it was very, very impressive, and it completely changed my mind. And one of the things that I learned was to think about it, to ponder about experience, and to tell just a few people about it, because most of the people would consider this bizarre, and even though that I suffered some sort of hallucination, but for me it was real, and that changed my life. And since then, I've been having, these synchronicities of events. Sometimes whenever I go and someone take a picture of me, behind me there is a UFO, or someone takes a video in the area and there is a UFO. Or like I've been in Machu Picchu, in other places, I take a picture and there's the UFOs there, it just show up. It's not Photoshop, it's not like that. It's like, how many people can experience that? It's like winning the lotto. Statistically, it's beyond any normal, regular concept. 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1,000,000. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But there is a connection with them that has been changing within the years. So I understood that their presence is like a cosmic anthropologist, that they want to know how we're evolving. They want to know what are the decisions are we going to make for the near future that will change completely our way of thinking and our society, and then the way we get along among each other here on Earth, and how we're going to try to, as human race, to work together. And that's going to be one of the biggest challenges. Within the years, I receive, and other people close to me receive, predictions regarding what's going to happen in the future. At the present, 60% of the prediction come true. So I don't want to wait for the other 40%. So in my time off, I dedicate my time to give lectures, workshops, to give interviews, to write articles sometimes, and to talk about, the most important thing. I think it's important, in my case, to understand the ET presence is real, but I think that it's determinant, a shift of consciousness, whether you believe or not in UFOs, whether you believe in other extraterrestrials. So that's part of my ongoing experience with them. I've been at the ECETI Ranch in the last 2 years. Ramon has been there, 2009, 2010, and I've been quite lucky to have able to cut on tape twice, spectacular UFO sightings there. So it is a relationship, I would say, in a different way that I have with them. Sometimes, there are moments that you have doubts even of your own experiences, that you have to come back to reality, and this is a reality you have to live on, as you said at the very beginning. You're blue-collar guys. I consider myself also a blue-collar guy, and we need to pay bills. We need to go back to reality. So how you manage to have an extraordinary experience living a ordinary life? So it's kind of tricky, but that is the point. The point is that this experience, you can change the experience, alter the experience, because you have an ego problem, and make it more spectacular, like you are the chosen one, you are the special one, or maybe you can deny that because around you in your environment, your family is too religious, or you can lose your job, or it can affect your relationships also with your loved ones. So to balance that, it requires a little bit of introspection. It requires to ponder. It requires to dig into yourself, to look to yourself. As they said, the most important contact is not with us. The most important contact is with yourself. And that's what I've been trying to do all these years, guys.
It's the consciousness thing is becoming so huge right now. And it's actually getting acknowledged even through the nuts and bolts UFO area, where they're actually starting to acknowledge that consciousness has a huge effect on what kind of contacts people have. Without having that conscious connection, you don't really receive the right messages, I don't think.
I think you're right. I agree with you. You don't have the right intent or the level of understanding to absorb and digest an experience. You can lose it. And I met people that have a wonderful experience, spectacular, but they lost it because they didn't manage to keep, raising their consciousness to to the next level, and that's our own effort. There is not here a magic instant gratification solution to all our problems or all our crises that we have go through when you are doing this treacherous path of rise your consciousness level. Sometimes, it's beautiful, it's an adventure, but it also can be a little bit tricky. And as you said, go ahead.
It can be very tricky, especially because while you're going through that process, it creates or it prompts you to look at all the other areas of your life. I mean, you look in the mirror and you're able to see exactly who you are. And when you can do that, you look at the person in the mirror and everybody's, everybody's judgmental. I don't care what anyone says. You're going to judge yourself whether or not you're a good person or a bad person. And if a person takes that true look at themselves in the mirror through this process, and to be able to reach the next level, they have to do that. They have to look in the mirror. They have to see who is really there. And that's the tricky part right there, because there's people, you can be the nicest guy in the world, but you've got some skeletons in your closet that you're going to have to dig up when you start raising your consciousness.
That's true. I agree with you. That's the way it is. We cannot deny that reality. You are denying that reality that you're living a mirage. You're tricking to yourself, and it will be more difficult to come back, to be genuine, and to go forward in your life.
South of the border, the Mexico, South America, they seem to be a lot more open to the UFO phenomena. Is it mainly you think it's the propaganda that we get here in the U.S. that makes them more open, that they don't get down there, that makes them more open to it?
No, I think it's the culture.
Yeah.
The response is always cultural. An American don't see the ET phenomena the same as a Japanese can see it, or German can see it, or a Latino guy can see it. We interpret according to our culture. So let's say I'm Peruvian. I was born and raised in Peru. But when you're in the last days of your high school, instead of going to Cancun or to have a spring break, they send you to Machu Picchu, to Cusco, to know your history. And we have all these archaeological ruins right there. We have all the shamanism, medicine plants right there as a part of our culture. So we are in touch with that religious, magical belief somehow. We're in touch with those power places naturally. We're in touch with Mother Earth. So since, the Inca Empire almost ruled half of South America, and then you have the Mesoamerican area with the Mayan, all mixed, Aztecs, Toltecs, all mixed as well. There's a rich heritage that have in their midst, ancient visitors or the gods like Quetzalcoatl, who was a white person with, beard and blue eyes, like Viracocha, also a white guy who was, welcomed by the first natives when the conquistadors arrived in Peru. So the local natives thought they were the Viracochas coming by. how they can have that image imprint in their mind with there was no, photograph or the computers or anything like that. That was based on oral tradition. So the presence of aliens, quote, and, ancient cultures and mythologies and stories around is very much alive somehow, in that countries. So people, besides that, we are not a superpower, an hegemonic power. So we don't have a problem if there are in their national airspace. They didn't try to shut down any, fighter pilot. They didn't try to shut down any military base. They just show up, and it becomes natural. So since then, the population is very open to those things. Is very open to believe that ETs are for real. And now with the rise of technology, you can see in YouTube, thousands of videos. Some of them are fake, of course. Others are for real. That people are taking and people are having their own experiences and making their own opinions about that. So again, I think it's a cultural response regarding the ET phenomena. And the difference with the United States, with America, it is that the power of the power here, the power of the structure, the way it is here, make it very complex. Since this is the superpower, you have many levels of information, many levels of way to deal with society, many levels of influence through the media, through policies, through the economy, etc., etc. So it's very difficult to try to make people understand that somehow the ET presence is here, but it's not here to make any damage, to take over us, or to control us, to bring fear to the population. They should have done that 200-300 years ago. You don't have to wait to develop, atomic bombs, weapons of mass destruction. They could have done that before. They could have wiped us out 1,000 years ago. They don't need us to have this overpopulation right now. So the interpretation it varies according to the society we're living on,
So even the Mexican and South American governments are much more open to it. Just like that big release from the FLIR video of the craft that they released last year.
Definitely, that FLIR video, with 11 UFOs following, a airplane from the military and Mexican army that were trying to chase drug lords in the area of Campeche, south of Mexico, was released after serious consideration, and they finally decided that it was not a threat to the national security. And finally, they decided to call Jaime Maussan, the well-known Mexican, reporter and ufologist, known in America and worldwide. So they released the whole context of the video. They interview all the officers and the tripulants of that plane. People with coherent people, intelligent people, in a good physical shape, and they all declare the same. They all agree with that, and you have, besides their testimony, the video with the FLIR camera that they can, tell you they were being followed, not chased, followed by 11 UFOs. That was the reason that within time I coordinated with the Peruvian Air Force a private meeting, a private conference in the Peruvian School of War, the Air Force School of War, on December the 12th, 2005, a private conference between Jaime Maussan and the top generals, members of the Peruvian Air Force, representative, in the Peruvian Congress, the director of the control tower of the Lima's International Airport, the director of the civilian air traffic controllers in the airport of Coyique. That's the name of the, private airport, biggest airport in Lima, Peru, and members of the telecommunications department of the Ministry of energy in Peru.